Imagine an empire, one that fought almost non-stop for centuries. Normally, such a pace destroys treasuries. Not armies, but budgets are what collapse. But the Ottoman Empire did not grow poorer by waging war. It grew larger. So the real question is this: how did it manage that? For 6 centuries, the Ottoman Empire fought continuously against crusaders, rival sultans, rebellions, and European kingdoms. It expanded its lands, lost territory, reshaped its borders, returned from the edge of collapse, and kept a massive army in the field uninterrupted, stretching from the Balkans to the Arabian Peninsula. And while all this happened, it did not collapse the way most empires in history did. It managed to stay afloat while remaining on its feet. Because the Ottomans did not merely conquer, they built a system that made conquest sustainable. The Ottoman Empire existed from 1299 to 1922, lasting longer than the Roman Empire, outliving the British Empire, and enduring longer than most modern states. But the remarkable thing was not its longevity. The real mystery is this: how did it avoid financial collapse despite constant warfare? In the West, people often believe empires fall because they lose wars. In reality, empires are bankrupted not by the front lines, but by the treasury, decision-makers, and supply chains. The Ottoman Empire recognized this early. Instead of raising armies by heavily taxing the population like European kingdoms, it created a far more sustainable system, one in which war could pay for itself. Before diving into that system, we need to understand the Ottoman Empire itself. For many people, Ottoman means sultans, Janissaries, and domes. These images are familiar, but the economic system that sustained them for 600 years is not. Let's slow down and visualize the picture. Founded under Osman Bey, the Ottoman state began as a small frontier principality in Anatolia. Osman Bey was not only a strong ruler, but also a capable military leader. As the Byzantine Empire weakened and the Mongols withdrew from eastern Anatolia, there could have been no better opportunity to seize new lands. Each conquered territory was more than a military victory. It was a gain for the state treasury. Every new land meant more population, more resources, more farmers, more crops, and more taxes. The first key to understanding Ottoman success is this: war was not a cause of bankruptcy, it was a source of growth. With the conquest of Bursa in 1326 and expansion into Europe in the 1350s, the Ottomans were no longer a minor frontier power. They became a growing force controlling trade routes between Europe and Asia. In medieval finance, this was equivalent to controlling the world's circulatory system, from Damascus to Istanbul, from Venice to Tehran, from Cairo to Budapest. Nearly all major trade networks passed through Ottoman lands. To wage war, you need people, food, and iron. The Ottomans may not have had more resources than their neighbors, but they had a sustainable flow of money. Geographically, the Ottoman Empire was positioned at the center of the world. The Silk Road and the trade of weapons, copper, horses, sugar, and more all passed through its territory. And this passage was not free. Every transit carried a tax. Yet even a strong revenue base alone cannot explain centuries of uninterrupted campaigns. What truly set the Ottomans apart was their structure. They transformed the army into a system that financed itself. At this point, the story shifts from land to organization, and the Timar system emerges. In modern states, expenses usually include salaries, logistics, pensions, and enormous military costs that drain the treasury. The Ottoman solution was radically different. Soldiers were not paid salaries. Instead, they were granted rights. A Timar was essentially a large tax district. A Sipahi was assigned villages or given the right to collect taxes from a specific area. With this income, he could maintain his equipment, repair or replace his weapons, and sustain himself. He received no salary, but he could live and fight. This was one of the most intelligently designed fiscal systems in world history. State expenses were kept low. Soldiers focused on maintaining local order because stability meant consistent income. Peasants continued their lives within this structure, and the empire was able to raise armies continuously without draining the treasury. Imagine giving a modern soldier the right to collect taxes from a village instead of paying a monthly salary. It would be dangerous today, but in the 1300s, it was brilliant. European kingdoms relied on expensive knights and mercenaries, meaning no pay equaled no loyalty. The Ottoman system functioned even in peacetime. Wars did not strain the empire. They activated the Timar system, and there was more. The second pillar was the Janissaries, feared by Christians and trusted enough for sultans to entrust them with their own lives. The Janissaries were an elite, disciplined infantry, the most organized soldiers of their time. Their financial structure was different because their origin was unique. The Devshirme system, Christian boys taken from Balkan villages were converted to Islam and raised in imperial military schools. They were trained not according to ethnicity or lineage, but as soldiers directly loyal to the heart of the empire. They were truly elite, disciplined, ruthless, willing to die for the state. Remarkably, the empire bore little cost in raising them. The expense of childhood was absorbed by the villages they were taken from. The state paid for training, but not for upbringing. The Timar system turned cavalry into a self-sustaining force. The Devshirme system created elite infantry at minimal cost. Every conquest meant new revenue. New land meant new taxes, new ports and new income streams. This momentum was unstoppable. European kingdoms could emerge poorer after wars. The Ottoman Empire grew richer. Visualize the map: the Straits, the Eastern Mediterranean, the Red Sea, Iran, Central Asian trade routes. Anyone trading between Europe and Asia had to pay the Ottomans. By the 1500s, the empire had become financially unstoppable. The treasury overflowed. The state controlled salt, tobacco, and coffee, strategic commodities of their age. This structure laid the foundation for modern strategic sectors. The Ottomans also collected tribute. From Crimea to Wallachia, many states paid annual sums, reducing administrative costs and stabilizing rule. For centuries, the empire avoided debt. It owed almost nothing, even to other states. But this system was not eternal. By the late 1600s and 1700s, the world changed. Europe industrialized. Trade shifted from land to oceans. Ottoman trade hubs lost importance. The Timar system weakened. State oversight declined, and Janissaries sought political power, leading to rebellions. Modern European-style salaried armies were required, but they demanded far more money. By the 1800s, the empire was forced to borrow heavily from European banks. In 1881, financial control was effectively handed over to a system managed by France and Britain. A tragic end to a centuries-old financial model. Does this sound familiar? Empires do not die on battlefields. They die when they lose control of money. The Ottoman Empire survived for 6 centuries thanks to a disciplined and sustainable financial system. When that system broke, collapse followed. Today the pattern remains. The Timar system resembles modern state contracts and privatized military companies. Trade choke points from the Strait of Hormuz to the South China Sea are fiercely contested. State monopolies live on as national oil companies. The financial system remains, only the uniforms change. The lesson is clear. Empires fall not because of war, but because they fail to control money. The Ottomans financed war through system design. As long as the machine kept turning, power followed. When it broke, the empire ended. History does not repeat itself exactly, but if you fail to learn from it, it will crush you all the same. If this video gave you something valuable, please subscribe. The answers you seek are hidden inside history.